Alright, this 2SS interior is a little bit nicer than the 1SS we sat in Houston. Again, the final graining has not been done on this interior, so if you see this and it looks a little bit flat, don't worry, this is pre-production. What is pretty close to it is this orange accent interior. This is almost a hugger orange.
It's almost hugger orange.
It's perfect.
It's not red. Whenever you see it in regular light, you're going to see that it's definitely orange. It's not red.
This has got to be the most ostentatious leather I've ever seen in a like a Chevy, and that says quite a bit because you're looking. You remember older Corvettes. Hey, what about older Camaros? What's the interior story from the older Camaro? When you're looking at interesting leather, like give me an angle here.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by the older Camaros. The 4th generation cars actually had what we called Sierra Super Soft leather on it.
Okay.
And it was actually cow leather. You can put leather that's a little rougher grained, but that's actually buffalo hide, and you'll see that in a lot of our trucks. It's a little bit more durable. But people want the feel of a leather interior. So this actually has the perforated leather seat inserts, which of course is going to be nice on a warm day. You'll also notice that this car, because it has the orange accent interior, has the circles around the IP
right
up in
meter cluster, and then it goes down into the reveal and into the door panel. What's I think very difficult to gauge, at least in photography, owners might not understand, is that this reveal is sort of a clear polycarbonate. Yeah, it's an acrylic finish with an orange backdrop to it. So there's a texture and a depth to that.
It's
absolutely
actually three-dimensional.
Yeah, it's not flat, and it's a really impressive effect. And then everything comes together with this contrast French stitching right here. And this follows not just into the steering wheel, but where? Into the doors as well?
Notice the orange stitching here on the shifter.
On the shifter?
On the shifter.
Oh, okay.
And the shifter boot, and down on the armrests of the doors, and of course on the black portions of the seat also have the orange stitching on it.
Why was it time?
Right here.
Why was it time for a sophisticated interior in a Camaro?
I think it's always been a time for a sophisticated interior. If you go back to 1993 and you read all the reports, they raved about how sophisticated.
Did they really?
Was. Absolutely.
No way.
Remember, the car was 10 years old at the end of its life cycle.
Sure.
So a lot of things change in 10 years. So
absolutely.
We went from a very sophisticated interior to everybody passed us up. The bottom line is this car also has to appeal to a wider audience. Obviously, we don't want to alienate any of our enthusiasts. But we also know people are walking through this auto show, looking at the car going, my God, it's sex on wheels. I don't know what it is, but where do I sign up?
Absolutely.
And to that person, we have to make sure that we offer a much more refined interior. Some of our enthusiasts would like us to see the back seat taken out. They don't want to see all this. Well, that's true, but we have to appeal to a wider audience. So the bottom line is we're hopeful that that's exactly what will happen with this car.
Gotcha. Scott, thank you so kindly for taking the time.
Well,
you know, we'd love to have you in Texas. So. Yeah, I mean, before we close it up, actually, I think that's one thing we want to say. I was, how old? Maybe 6 in 1993, and I remember having a 1992 Chevy brochure in my hand, and I turned the page. It was a full-line brochure. I was a Beretta geek. I loved Berettas when I was like 5 years old. I turned the page and I saw your 4th Gen F body. It was a medium quasar blue. I remember it was on page 12, right? Like it was great. And I think what's really validating is to have somebody like you that understands the heritage and in touch with the owner community. I don't pretend to know too much.
Everything.
I look to them.
Everything. We have got to embrace the enthusiast community. That's why I spend so much time on the internet and going out and meeting people, because that's what makes great product. Now, it's true that everybody has their own feelings, but when you sit down with the 12 disciples, of which there are 15,
sure.
I mean, pretty quickly, you've got consensus on what the car has to have and what it can't have. There's always going to be a few opposing views, but that's how you make great product. You make sure that you're talking to people that have passion, and in fact they brought up things that we really hadn't thought about, and then of course we brought things up that they hadn't thought about. So it's a great collaborative effort, and that's what gives us great cars.
Well, I mean, as a writer, I mean, I of course work to make sure that owner community is preserved, and they help me out quite a bit. But I've got to relay some kind of thanks as an enthusiast.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Because it wasn't always that we had that sort of engagement from a manufacturer. And I've got to ask, when March 15th comes and the first cars are rolling off the line and in customers' hands eventually, are we going to see F-Bod father again?
Of course you will.
Really?
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, great.
This has been a labor of love. I tell people the first Camaro I saw was September 10th of 1966. Our family Chevy dealership got their first Camaro in, and I thought it had been the most beautiful car I'd ever seen in my life. I was absolutely captivated, and it's been a labor of love ever since then. Been some very tough times. September 27th of 2002 was a horrible day. That was the last cars came down the line. By the way, Larry Edsall's got a book out there on the new Camaro. It hits the newsstands.
Yeah.
It hits the newsstands, in fact, this week. And it talks about how we developed this car and a lot of behind-the-scenes looks. So, by all means, guys, Larry Edsall, Camaro, Rebirth of a Legend.
Okay, well, good. Well, you know, I'm glad to hear that you're not going anywhere, and we'd love to see you again if you're in Dallas or in Texas. Scott, thank you so kindly.
Okay, thanks.